What if you don't get a seizure receipt after you've had money taken from you when you're crossing the border? That's a question that comes up quite a bit. It doesn't happen all the time, but it's common enough that I can say it does happen, and it shouldn't always be too concerning. Whenever Customs seizes property from an individual, they are supposed to provide a receipt to that person. Usually it takes the form of something called a custody receipt for seized property and evidence that they complete that has the person whose property was seized. It has their contact information, address. It has an address where you're supposed to send customs, or where you can send correspondence to customs. It will have a case number on it, and it's going to have a description of the property. So in this case, if it's seized money, it's going to give a value for the amount of money that was seized, maybe what currency it's in or denominations that it's in. But at a minimum, the amount of money was seized, the amount of money that was seized, a case number, and some contact information for both sides, the person who had a violation and customs. But sometimes customs doesn't always issue that seizure receipt, even though they're supposed to. I don't know why that happens always. I know sometimes it happens because the seizure occurs outside of the normal place of seizure. So I had a case recently where money, a person flew into JFK Airport and was on their way to LaGuardia Airport for a connecting flight, and had money seized at LaGuardia Airport. So in essence, customs, was following this person, tracked them down, discovered that they had more money on them than they had reported, and seized it. And apparently, the situation wasn't such that customs could issue a seizure receipt because they were not in their normal place. At a minimum, customs should provide you with like a business card for the person who seized the money, or something formal. But if they don't, it's uncommon enough that you need to make steps to make sure that you do reach out proactively and try to get information about your case as soon as possible. So if you're not sure which customs office has jurisdiction over the seizure that you experienced, you can go to CBP's website, cbp.gov, and there's a feature on there to locate a port of entry. And you would start by clicking on the state where the seizure occurred, and then you narrow it down to the nearest customs office closest to the place of seizure, where the seizure occurred. Narrow it down that way. So for instance, if you were in Laredo, Texas, and you had property seized, you would click on the state of Texas, look for Laredo, and find information on what might be called the Fines, Penalties, and Forfeitures, or FP&F office, or sometimes they just abbreviate it to like seizures, seizure and penalty office, something like that. But you would then reach out as soon as you can to inform customs that you had property seized and that you didn't get a receipt. They might ask for your name, your date of birth, or details like when the property was seized, what was seized, who seized it. They'll ask for some information to track down your case information. So I would be very proactive about doing that. You don't have to do it immediately, but certainly within a week of seizure, I would start trying to track that down. And certainly if more than, I would say, 30 days pass and you haven't heard anything, you haven't received any information about your case, definitely start reaching out. And if you don't get a call back from somebody at customs that you're leaving a message for, reach out in other ways, send emails, call a different phone number, until you can successfully track down information about your case. Don't give up. You could also contact a lawyer, somebody like me. If it's the type of cases we take, then it's definitely something that we could probably help you with, uh, getting getting that notice of seizure for you or case information for you. But the bottom line is it does happen. Shouldn't happen always, but it does happen sometimes. Usually it's nothing to worry about. I don't think that I've ever had anybody have property seized, not get a receipt, and then never hear any more about the case. Of course, but I've always got involved in those cases. And so I don't give up until I get the receipt or a notice of seizure on behalf of my client. But like I said, usually it's something not to worry about. But don't be like the people that I occasionally hear from on the telephone who have property seized and they call, 2 years later and they say, well, I never got a notice. Well, it's not necessarily too late to do anything. There's probably some opportunities that people can take advantage of to try to get their property back. But why would you wait 2 years? Or why would you wait any period of time more than a couple of days or a couple of weeks? You need to be proactive. You need to do things to chase down that receipt and make sure that you have the ability to get that seized property back. If you ever have any questions about that process, of course, you can reach out to us, GreatLakesCustomsLaw.com, or by calling me at 734-855-4999.